Yeah, many people do not understand the idea of Pan Africanism. That is true. It's something that I've asked a number of times here. The other day, I was interviewing Emma. Is now in an advanced age. He was a member of the Kruma government, the Kruma administration.
Yeah.
Of course, up to the time that the Kruma was ousted because he was going to, what is the name of this country, Vietnam, and to mediate between the United States and Vietnam. And of course, the CIA, of course, helped people to get him out of power because that was certainly was not in the interest of the United States. It's not the first time that the European and Western power will intervene in Africa to take out somebody who is not working for their interests. We must understand that this is the way it is. It's a game for them.
Hmm.
To this man, I was asking him because when Nkrumah was removed from power, there was really not much of a protest against the coup plotter. We sort of said a lot about whether the people actually understood what is even meant by Pan Africanism. Because it was supposed to start from Ghana, because he is the president of Ghana, and by extension, he was going to be able to have influence in many other places if this influence have solidified in Ghana. But if the people of Ghana could not stand up for that idea when it was needed the most, I mean that idea didn't really go home where. So the question I was asking him, did the people really understand what is meant by Pan-Africanism? So anyway, I'm not going to ask you to be tinkly too much on that. That is okay. I just want to say that it's not like it's very simple for people to understand. Many people didn't understand it there until they still didn't understand it well, even though it's a very beautiful idea. We're talking about our liberation, talking about our freedom, talking about our collectivity, talking about our interest. You
Hmm.
see, when we talk about interest like this, talking about us as African in the diaspora, the name that usually come to my mind often, especially when we also talk about organization, our potentials, is Marcus Garvey. Now, Marcus Garvey was a man. Of course, he managed to organize himself and organize people. Now, how could it be possible for a man at that time to have that much power? Because power is nothing more than organization. No? He could have a shipping line.
Hmm.
Today, 2022, we are moving to 2023. I don't know of any African institution, organization, or put all the millions of oil put together that have a shipping line. If we want to take flight, in most of the cases, we need to take European flight, take American flight. If we fight a war in Africa, we need to depend on European weapon to fight. Russia AK-47, that is what we used to fight to kill ourselves. Why can't people in Nigeria, people in Ghana, people in Ivory Coast decide to produce their own weapon and say, now we decide to die. We produce our weapon to die. We are not able to do anything because we have been taught that we are worth nothing. But from among us also came Marcus Garvey, who was able to prove that we can do something. We are somebody. We came from somewhere. We have history, a huge history behind us. This is the data we're talking about before. Because if you lack this, like Marcus Garvey will say, a tree that have no root or a man that doesn't know his root
Hmm.
is cut off.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, this is the question I want to ask you.
Hmm.
Do we in 2022 have the possibility of able to connect among ourselves so that we can build for ourselves in the diaspora? Do we have the possibility of doing it?
We do, absolutely. It's just a matter of being united. Um, you have to remember that Marcus Garvey was a leader, but you can't be a leader if people aren't following, right? So a lot of people during that time, they put their money into Marcus Garvey's vision, right? Um, his wives, both of them who happened to be named Amy, they were editors of his newspaper, right? So it's a matter of knowledge, right? So he used that information to educate the people about his vision and educate them about who their enemy is. So we have to believe that we have how we would say, a common enemy, right? If we don't realize who that common enemy is, then we will have people infiltrating, we'll have people spying, we'll have people, not connecting to the vision, we'll be scattered, right? The reason why Marcus Garvey was successful, in his endeavor was because he had people following that vision, right? I find that we as a people, there's a lack of trust and there's a lack of following one vision, and coming together united for one vision. If we're able to do that, then yes, we can definitely buy an airline. We definitely need our own national defense. We need all of those things to be successful because we realize who the common enemy is, right? We have to realize who that we're at war. A lot of people don't realize that we're at war, but in order to understand that you're at war, you have to realize that the history, right? You have to realize throughout history, this is what happened to your people. This is what happened. How can we come to a solution? We have to be innovative and we have to have a vision about our goal and where we're going. For me, my goal is to use my businesses to make us healthy. So I have a sea moss and moringa infused smoothie business, tropical flavors, there's so much nutrients and vitamins in it. So if we're fighting a war against anyone, you have to be healthy. You have to be strong. You have to have a clear mindset. You have to be sober, right? So this is my way of contributing to my community is bringing health and wellness to my community, right? And so our ancestors knew about sea moss. My Jamaican ancestors, knew about sea moss and how it was so healthy. But it's interesting that it's now in the mainstream, and also moringa is now in the mainstream. There's tablets, there's powders, there's all kinds of things, products, moringa-based products and sea moss-based products, but our own people are not using it, right? And our own people are not profiting off of it, right? Other people are. So I'm saying bring the profits to our community, bring the wealth and health to our community so that we can be strong and sober-minded in order to fight. The other issue is I'm an educator, I'm a teacher. That is something that I have two different avenues. I can teach in the mainstream and I can teach privately within my own community, right? And I've chosen to teach within my community. Malcolm X said, never let your enemy educate your children. And there's a reason why he said that, because that's where the brainwashing comes in. That's when we start to disbelieve that we are great,